Om Tat Sat. Welcome to Gyan Bhakti channel by Swami Nikhilananda. My humble prostrations to the all-pervading Brahman, to my worshipful Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanandaji Maharaj, to Ram Parivar and all sages and saints, and to each of you divine soul watching today's satsang. We are currently studying the Ayodhya Kand of the mysticism of Ramayana. Commentary is by my Guruji, Swami Jyotirmayanandaji Maharaj, narrated by myself, Swami Nikhilananda. So yesterday we had covered the story of Kevata and him helping cross the river with his boat. And today we will be doing the satsang on establishing a hermitage deep in the forest with Guha. Guha was the tribesman council, like a small king of that area, who accompanied Lord Rama till a certain point. Guha then secured Rama's permission to remain with him a while, and the next day the four set out for the pilgrimage center at Prayag. There they met great sage Bhardwaj, who had sent some of his disciples to accompany them and show them the best paths through the forest. The foursome then passed through various remote villages whose simple folk were deeply enchanted by the presence of Rama and the others. After bathing in the Yamuna river, Rama persuaded Guha to return to the kingdom, and Rama, Sita and Lakshmana continued alone. Rama, Lakshmana and Sita then approached great sage Valmiki in his ashram. After being warmly welcomed by the sage, they asked where the best location would be for them to build a hermitage for the remainder of their exile. Valmiki directed them to a beautiful spot on the banks of the Mandakini river in Chitrakoot mountain, where many renowned sages were practicing austerity, and all the conveniences needed for life in the forest abounded. When the divine three, Rama, Lakshmana and Sita, arrived at the river and chose the exact location of their hermitage, the gods rushed to the mortal world with a divine architect known as Vishwakarma. Disguised in the garb of wild tribesmen, they constructed two wonderful cottages in which Rama and Sita would abide right next door to Lakshmana. After Rama had settled into the new abode, the gods came again with other heavenly beings and adored Rama, reminding him about the mission for which he had incarnated, the mission of destroying the great Devan Ravana. Content that now this mission was going to be fulfilled, the gods departed. The presence of Rama, Lakshmana and Sita brought great joy to the nearby sages and tribesmen of the forest. Dwelling happily in that beautiful setting, Sita and Lakshmana found ever-increasing delight in merely observing Rama and serving him. In the flood of that divine love, all memories of the luxuries of the palace and their relatives in Ayodhya gradually began to pale into insignificance. So it is not the material things that give you happiness, it's the love within your heart that is of much more importance. Sita and Lakshmana are among the most important and sublime actors in the drama of Ramayana. Sita is the incarnation of goddess Lakshmi, the goddess of prosperity, and symbolizes keen intellect or the spirit of understanding, known in Sanskrit as Buddhi. Buddhi is the discriminative ability in an individual. When the aspirant enters into the forest of intense sadhana and strives to develop dispassion and discrimination, that understanding follows him with immense fidelity and eventually is itself rendered intuitive. That is called prajna. Prajna means intuitive intellect, which is different from the worldly knowledge. That is the spiritual knowledge. With God's blessings we get that. Lakshmana, according to the Hindu stories, is the incarnation of that great serpent known as Sheshnag or Shesha serpent, who is sitting where Vishnuji lies in the ocean, in the Milky Ocean, and on the serpent's body. So this represents the cosmic mind. That is what a serpent is symbolic of. As such, in the story of Rama, he represents the power of will, which faithfully supports the aspirant through the turmoils of spiritual discipline. Further, through the personalities of Sita and Lakshmana, Tulsidas Ji continues to illustrate various shades of devotional sentiments that are important on the path of devotion. Sita specially portrays that aspect of devotion known as Madhurya Bhav. Madhurya means full of sweetness. The sentiment that a devotee holds for the divine self that is compared to the feelings of a devoted wife towards her husband or a lover to her beloved. Like Sita, the soul must be willing to tear itself away from all earthly comforts and attachments in order to truly love the divine self, who is the supreme Lord, husband and beloved. So she gave up all the luxuries and threw them as straw compared to all the hardships she would endure in the forest, and she gladly accepted those in order to be with her husband, Lord Rama. Lakshmana symbolizes the aspect of devotion known as Dasya Bhav, the love of a devoted servant for a dear master. Like such a servant, an aspirant on the path of devotion learns to view himself as an instrument in divine hands. He joyously surrenders his egoistic will to the cosmic will of the divine master. So he surrenders his very being. In the devotion of Sita and Lakshmana to Rama, Tulsidas Ji reveals the unique joys that await an aspirant on the path of bhakti. From time immemorial, there have been people who say that spiritual life should be shunned because it is life full of misery. Such people speak without exercising their reason. A human being must endure suffering whether he is a sadhaka, devoted to spiritual disciplines or not. The fact is, we all go through prosperity and adversity. In fact, the material world is filled with greater misery. Misery that comes in so many shapes and forms that one is not prepared for. A friend of so many years suddenly decides not to be friends. A marital relationship breaks. There is disillusionment, deceit, frustration. Whoever says that life without sadhana is easy and life with sadhana is difficult is certainly not exercising his pure reason. Playing their roles in the mystic drama of the Ramayana, Sita and Lakshmana had to adjust to forest hardships and endure the pain of separation from near and dear relatives. Lakshmana even left his wife Urmila back in the palace, and she supported that decision and prayed for him and took care of the mothers. That was her role, to make sure that Kaushalya and Sumitra, the mothers, were taken care of. So every character has a certain beauty, a certain depth to that, even although some are glorified and some are not so much, but it is all very important and very profound. However, the sight of Rama besides them each day brought a joy that outweighed any suffering for Lakshmana and Sita and filled them with ever-increasing delight. So they would see Rama and their hearts would become peaceful. Similarly, whatever sufferings a sincere aspirant experiences on the path of devotion are readily forgotten whenever he gets a glimpse of the cosmic expansion that awaits him as he follows the path. Such a glimpse fills him, with a sublime joy that renders all sufferings insignificant, nothing. It's like we say, my heart is full of, the cup is full, the devotion, bhakti is full of love, overflowing. That's how they feel. Love for divinity has the power to bring new delight to the mind every day. The mind of a true devotee will never develop a sense of boredom. If in pursuing japa, which is repetition of mantra, and devout meditation, an aspirant goes on asking himself, how long am I to continue doing these things, then you must realize that he has not yet experienced true devotion. Because once true devotion comes, you look forward to your sadhana time. The more time you get, the better. You get attracted and attached to that process. If there is true devotion, there will be increasing thrill and a sense of adventure. An aspirant is like a mountain climber, enduring the hardships of the steep climb because he eagerly looks forward to reaching those greater and greater heights from which he can view a wider horizon of the divine glory. So much in the same way, a devotee also progresses just like that. He continues to enjoy the nectar within him. Further, in the love of Sita, Lakshmana and other devotees for Rama, Tulsidas ji points out the differences between ordinary attachment or raga and divine attachment or bhakti. In worldly attachment or raga, happiness diminishes while attachments and entanglements grow as time passes by. In the beginning of a relationship, one feels that he will find happiness in an object and therefore he becomes attached to it. However, as one pressures the object with his attachment, whatever happiness there was in the object is gradually squeezed out of it, so to speak. Eventually, all that remains is the external shell of the object to which one continues to be attached in vain. On the other hand, when the mind moves towards God, in the beginning it may not be so pleasing because God is not as evident as the objects of the world. Nevertheless, as time passes by, the mind becomes filled with joy that is pure and true and which continues to increase every day. This is the same teaching in Bhagavad Gita also. So we will be covering more of this satsang tomorrow, and we will be discussing the episode of the death of Dashratha. Dashratha is Lord Rama's father's passing away. This is Swami Nikhilananda. Om Tat Sat.